Hello everybody, what is going on? Welcome back to the shed, welcome back to the channel. So I know I made you a promise that we were going to drive the car in this video, but things have gone wrong, immensely wrong. So I got fuel, so after the last video we put in the fuel tank, all of that. I got petrol, put the petrol into the car, turned the key, and nothing happened. So what I've done is I took off the line, wasn't getting fuel pressure up to the rail, so I determined my pump was bad. So what you can see here is the original hanger for the GT that came out of the car. So I've stripped all that and I'm replacing the pump with a Walbro unit that I actually had that came with the car, to try and see is that the issue. Even though the pump originally did work, so it kind of led into more problems. So that's what we're kind of going through in this video. I'm showing our new pump going in and then discovering more problems, and then about a week's work to figure out what was going on and why wouldn't this car start. So stay tuned, have a look at what my week's adventures were like, and we have a bit of progress at the end of it, so I'll leave it there. Right, so the hanger cleaned up pretty good. Some of the bits kind of up top that I couldn't really get into are still a bit crusty, but I think overall that's a fair improvement. So that's the old pump and the old sock filter, which is in poor enough old nick, and I think that was my problem. So what we're doing is this. So this pump is going to go into its place. There's a new sock filter. There's kind of all the little bits. This is a little retaining clip that goes in the bottom that holds it in here. I need to cut the hose roughly to kind of what it was like there. And I also need to, so this is the connector for the top of the pump, so it would have went in there. I need to cut that, so I need to cut these two wires, and then is it splice in or connect in this new connector, because obviously the fitting is slightly different up here on the new pump. So I'm going to cut the two of these. I think blue is power and black is ground. So in this case red will be power and black is ground. So I'm going to give this a go. I have kind of everything laid out here, and yeah, see can we get this thing in and hopefully it works. Okay, so you've just seen me clean up my fuel sender and fit a Walbro pump. For anyone inquiring, you do need to make some slight modifications to the sender. I opted to cut this pipe. So if I show you here, this hard line would sit like this. I cut it just to allow my fitting to line up there. So that's your line, say, sending fuel up. This one here is your return line, and then this one is the breather. So you'd have to cut that, and you also need to cut off the original connector that's in the hanger and then splice in this one. So that's all done. So hopefully this is going to work. I'm going to pop this into the car. What I did off camera as well is I've changed the fuel pump. It's not the fuel pump, the filter. So I'll just show you. I had fuel in this that came out of the old filter, and you can see how filthy and manky that is. So I probably made a mistake even using this pump to drive the car for a little bit of time. But I did drive it, but whatever. Let's get this in, let's whip out the other one, and then we're going to do, I already have the feed line to the rail taken off, so my plan is put on the jumper pack on it, turn over the car, or even just key it on and see that we get fuel pressure up to the rail, and then if we do, put everything back together and hopefully this thing runs. So let's just do it. Let's just get into it. I'm shitting myself. Okay, let's key on ignition. Let's see what happens. The last clip showed that we weren't getting fuel here after the new fuel pump went in. So this is the next day. I was in the shed for a good few hours last night trying to figure it out and couldn't. But I'll just show you, come in, I have a cameraman here, camera lady. It's so awkward. Right? So you would have seen this here, that's the feed up to the line with no fuel coming to it. So what I then checked was, if we come over here, this is the fuse box inside in the engine bay. And that there is an EFI fuse. So I found that it's labelled on the underside of the box here, EFI, and then you have an EFI 15 fuse as well. I took the one out of the other Starlet and put it into this, it didn't work. I took the one out of the Corolla and put it in, it didn't work. The 15 fuse there isn't blown, but I replaced it anyway, and it still didn't work. So then I was kind of saying, is it the pump that's bad? So the pump that was in the car did work, and then when I took it apart, say when I took the fuel tank out and all that, put that pump back in, it stopped working. So there was something weird going on. So if I show you the table over here, this is all stuff that I learned last night, right? But this is your fuel pump and the hanger, so this is what sits down into the tank. So I thought the pump was bad, so that's what we just did. We replaced the pump with a new one. But this is essentially what is in the car, right? So you have your tank, your pump is going to be in it. there will be a line coming from here then that goes directly into this, which is your fuel filter, and that sits in the engine bay. And then from your fuel filter, it goes through this pipe and into a fuel rail, and then into the injectors, right? So that's fine. So I did needed to figure out, is it the pump that's working, or is there something else going on? So, and I'll show you what I did, right? So if we get this and 2 cables, what we're going to do is put power to this pump and ground this pump, just to do like a bench test and see, will this pump actually work, right? So let's do that. So negative there, positive cable, and then let's turn it on. So I know from when I was wiring up the other pump that the blue cable coming into the connector here is the power cable that comes down and goes into this pump, and then your black one coming off the pump is earthed off the side of the hanger here. So I need to get my positive cable to the blue, which is here, that top one, and then if I earth it off of this, it should work. Okay. Do you hear the pump running?
Yeah.
Do you hear the pump running, cameraman? That means my pump is fine. So, what I then did was did the exact same process on the pump that is in the car. And it worked. So I got fuel pressure up to the rail, the car started until it ran out of fuel, because obviously the second I took it off, it wouldn't run. So, if we come back over here, from talking to a couple of lads, what I need to do is bypass this relay, right? So I'm going to get this wire and I'm going to pop it in. So I'm going to loop, you can see, it might be hard to see on camera, number 3, so pin 3 with pin 5. And what that should do in theory then is put power directly to my fuel pump, and then the car should run. And then if it doesn't do that, I don't really know. So we're going to try that. Right. Okay, so what does that tell us now? You tell us, mate, what does that tell us?
Don't know.
No idea.
Well, it obviously lost power as soon as you took off the...
Yeah, that might just, yeah, it's really just the battery, but... So what does that mean? So because we looped it... So, okay, right, okay. I don't know, I'm trying to figure this one out, right, but... I think there's also one of these relays in the... behind the glove box. And I thought that was probably going to be the issue. But surely if you're getting power there, maybe not. I need to ask people that know more than me, because I haven't this fucking notion. But that's a step in the right direction, so that's fine. Right, okay, let's make a phone call. Right. So I think, if we come back over to this thing, right? I think what we're after proving there is when we loop it, we can get power to the pump, so that circuit is fine. So then 1 and 2, I think that's when you turn the ignition, that's what gives this relay the actual signal to click over. And like, I've done nothing that would have changed any wiring or any earths or anything like that. But the only thing I did do is I took out the horn out of the car and put it into the crawler for the NCT, so there was no horn button in it, so there's a wire going to that. This mightn't make any difference, but it's the only thing, unless like the wire is, I don't know, tapped into the circuit. I don't know. I'm just chancing this. So the relay is back in. Let's just chance it to see. Right, so my clothes have probably changed genuinely, like I'd say 15 times what I'm looking for. Oh yeah. So come here, look. So what I had to do for the last clip where you saw the thing running is I jumped or bypassed this relay and put power from 5 straight to 3, and then did another couple of things, and I'm talking to one of the lads that kind of knows what he's on about, but now I need to figure out which one is the positive. So I know between 1 and 2, number 2 is the power and 1 is earth. So then the same thing for 5 and 3, which one is power and which one is earth. And so how I'm doing it, based off what I was told, and it's kind of cool, is if you come in here, look. So I have a cable gone into number 3, this port down here. So what I'm doing then is bringing that to this bulb that I have, and then I'm going to earth it off the battery. So if this is power, when I flick on the battery and earth it, that bulb will turn on. And if it's the other one, obviously nothing will happen because it'll have 2 grounding points as such. So I'll just show you. So that's in, ignition is on in the car, that's fine. But if I click on the battery here, and here are friends, let's get this to our battery. Power. So that there, so that port is the positive power. So now we can try and bypass it again and see, because when we did start the car the last time by bypassing it, it would run but it was dying, and anytime you press the accelerator it would cut off straight away. So we'll knock that off and we'll bypass this and try and get something else going. Right, picking up the video again the next day, so couldn't figure it out. I've kind of tried a lot of things and it's just like something is telling the pump to stop working. So what I'm doing right now is I've gone through, so there was this kind of an alarm system or something, which what looked like an immobilizer switch here, and there was another unit up there. It never really seemed to work or need to do anything, but I've tried so much stuff now, maybe this is the issue. So that, I have no idea. This was all going into this box here, and then it looks like it's coming up and going up here into the tweeter and the aerial. So unless that's just where it's pulling power from, but I've that left up out of the way. So, and this mightn't be the problem at all, but even if it's not, it's no harm to get all this stuff out of the way. So, if you can see that, so there is some wires that they had spliced into to pull power out of. So you can see, if you'll focus, you can see that top one there, and then these other ones closer here, they were obviously spliced into that, and that's what these wires were going to. So now I have more wires, if you'll focus, camera. I have more wires, so all of these ones, and I'm just after cutting open the line going back, so you can see here every single one of these are just spliced. I don't know, is that even the right term, but what they're doing is taking a bit of material off, say here, not cutting the wire but just taking off the housing of it, and then wrapping their own wire around it and kind of pinching onto it. And this is obviously the line then that's coming back to the fuel tank. So maybe that's my issue. I'm going to try and take all of these slices out to get rid of this alarm, and I'm going to try the car again, and then if that doesn't work, what I'm then going to do is swap out the ECU. So I have a spare 2-pin ECU. I'm going to try this alarm thing first because I just have it in my head that that's the problem. And if that doesn't work, we'll do the other thing. Okay, so all of this wiring has been pulled out. That'll go in the bin, and you can see here how they had done it. So all of these wires were just kind of, the shielding was taken off of it, and then they put in their own one. Now this one looks a little bit butchered, the rest of them don't look as butchered, and I think maybe this one might have been the problem. So this blue cable, this one here, was completely cut, and then that was going to this white one on one side and this white one on the other side. So unless that was something that to do with the fuel pump, because the fuel pump also has that blue wire going to it there. So maybe, I don't know, is this going to be the fix? We've made a gigantic mess, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape up the couple of exposed wires, and I'm just going to try and go for a start and see what happens. And then if that doesn't work, I'm going to change the ECU and see what happens. Right, all the alarms out, I've all the wires kind of patched up. I'm just going to turn the key and see what happens. So there we have it, we did it. This video that you're watching literally was about a week of me trying to figure out what was going on. But I am very, very happy that we did figure it out. So it was a fair learning curve, and obviously, as you saw in kind of the last clip, this was our problem, all of this. So fairly much this unit here, I think, is like an immobilizer, an alarm system, whatever it is. And I think the actual issue from all of it was actually these two white wires here. So I kind of touched on it in one of the last clips, but I'd say I didn't really know what I was even on about until I opened everything up. So what had happened was the blue lead coming from the pump, which from messing around with the pumps I knew was the power cable. So that's that cable there, and it's this blue cable in here. It's a slightly different colour in the GT, but this white one here had the blue cable cut in half, and then one side connected to this and one side connected to that. So that was obviously what was allowing power to get to the pump, and for whatever reason this module here wouldn't allow power to get to the pump. So by taking that out and taking all this stuff out, and there's some extra stuff here from some old gauges and stuff that are kind of obsolete now, so that's all gone. There is a little bit more wiring in there that now that I'm kind of up to speed with how to wire things, I'm going to take it out and just kind of clean it all up. But yeah, I'm delighted. So my biggest takeaway was kind of the learning of what happened here. I wouldn't have had a clue really about what was going on, so just testing all the ports and this and trying to figure out what was happening from everything that I had done here. And it was friends really telling me what should be happening. I was happy that all this was fine. I kind of thought all the circuits were fine, and I knew that there was some kind of weirdness going on. But yeah, without sounding too cheesy or anything, it was extremely rewarding to actually have a problem and then figure it out. And I kind of gave a couple of hours every evening for the last week trying to figure it out. Probably a year ago or before I would have started this channel, if I had a problem like this, I would have given it to someone, or I would have given up and just lost all hope in the car. So I'm actually delighted that I was able to figure it out and get it back going again. It's running sweet. Sorted out the hunting, so when it first started it was kind of hunting again, but we knew how to fix that because we'd learned that already. So what I do have is more problems, but it's all okay. So I have a slight little fuel leak coming from here. I think I'm actually just going to go back to the standard line for now. This line kind of works better when you have an AN return line as well, so I'm just going to pull that off for now. That'll fix that in 5 minutes. We have an eye leak down here, which I knew that we had. I think that might be the sump. I think the sump kind of got displaced when we were doing all the messing with the timing. So I'm going to fix that. And this is a bit of a balls, but I seem to have a little weep in here. So this guy here, which is the feed line, there's a small little weep coming out of that. So I'm going to open up all that and fix all that. I have a bit of interior work to do, but that's 10 minutes. We'll have all that put together in 10 minutes. I have a couple more wires I want to strip out of there. But I promise, I do promise, and I know I've promised this already, but the next video we're going to drive this car. I'm not going to stop until it's ready to be driven. I will drive it with that eye leak because it's tiny, it's nothing at all. And I'm very excited for it. So I know we promised that this video would be us driving it. These things happen, but we figured it out, and I think this was an interesting video. At least I found it interesting. So thanks for watching. Thanks for all the help as well. I posted a couple of bits on Instagram about what was going on, and I got a load of messages of lads giving me ideas and kind of sharing what they would do, and I found that extremely helpful. So if you were one of those people, thank you very much, because we got there in the end. But yeah, I'm going to leave the video here. I'm going to go back to work, get this car ready to be driven, and in the next video, this is going to be out on the road, and we're finally, for the first time in the history of my YouTube channel, there's a car going to be driving. So I will see you in the next video. Bye.